I'm going to go ahead and hit start. 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome and happy Friday afternoon. I'm probably the first one that gets to say that to you all. It just hit noon here on my device, but I am really excited for the next 45, 50 minutes, spending some time with you all talking about device care, best practices, and some additional information related to all the goings-ons that are going on in Wichita Public Schools. I'm joined with my better half, my counterpart, Andy, but I'll introduce myself briefly, and then I'll send it over to Andy, and then we'll jump right into our conversation. So my name again is Lincoln Hughes. I'm with Microsoft. Previously a middle school educator, so I kind of have one foot in the classroom, one foot in the Microsoft room, and I'm really passionate about technology and being used to create digital equity in the world. And in particular, really have been grateful to work with the Wichita community and their leadership to develop spaces that are safe and rigorous for students to be challenged and grow, and at the same time connecting with the parent community that's really important to them. Andy? Oh, there she is.
You're on mute, Andy.
Sorry about that, guys. Hi, my name is Andy Kindred, and I am a representative from Microsoft Stores. And I'm here today just to talk to you guys a little bit about how to take care of your devices. And I'll throw it back to Lincoln. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we'll start big picture here and bring it down into your student that's in your household. So big picture is Wichita has started over a year ago with a digital transformation plan that really was, pretty lucky, to be honest. I know not too many districts were as lucky as Wichita were when COVID came to the Midwest and started forcing schools to go remote. What was it? I believe it was March 17th of last spring. And the facts and the data remains that it is still a very persistent and frankly dangerous situation. So in real time, we know the district is thinking about how to keep students safe and balancing that with how they can learn best. So if you've been on the calls today, the plan is very robust, thinking about everything from hardware to software to parent view to digital respect and digital literacy, and just those expectations we have of our students in Wichita Public Schools, not only to be a well-rounded, great human being, but also one that is able to get along with others in a digital space or a physical space to achieve high academic expectations and to be surrounded by a community of trusted adults that can support them along their journey. So relative to the specific digital transformation piece, we know that devices and the physical hardware is a key component of that. And we are going to be talking about today just device management, device care, how to make sure those tools that are investment that Wichita Public Schools wants to make into your student, how to make sure those tools stay sharp as they can and as good as they work the first day out of the box. And there's definitely ways to do that, but there are sometimes problems that arise, and I know from having young ones at home and having been responsible for students, that is something that needs to be taught, how to take care of devices, whether it's phones or computers or other things. It's all a teachable skill. So we're hoping to put some best practices in your hands as parents and guardians of little ones and Wichita students to make sure that is going on. So I just want to make sure we want to emphasize the security and safety of your student is number one, and the connection to the educator, social workers, special education teachers, principals, everyone else, coaches. We all want to make sure those really important lifelong relationships are done in a safe environment that's accessible by all. So a lot of those decisions have been made with that mindset: is accessibility, equity, connection, and making sure there's a human touch with this additional technology that's being inserted into the district. And I'm so excited and very grateful to be here for help, support, be part of this, whatever they want me to do. Mop the floors, I want to be a part of it. So today is just one of the many conversations we'll be having with parents, and one of many conversations we're having with the teachers as well to make sure that the tools are being used as best they can be. Andy's going to take over for a couple minutes here, and she's going to go through some very practical tips on device care and some expectations we have to making sure those devices our students will be bringing home are indeed running like they should be, so they can get the education they deserve.
All right, absolutely. So I wanted to go over a little bit of just kind of device care and maintenance today. We're going to just talk technically first, and then I'm going to kind of show you a little bit of how to take care of your physical device. First thing is going to be you want to go ahead and have your student restart your computer at least twice a week. That is just going to be a great just refresh, make sure everything is working correctly. So that's going to be just the main something you should do at least once a week, and we're going to suggest twice a week to go in and do a restart on your computer. Of course, you'll just go to that power button, and instead of hitting shut down, you're going to hit restart just to make sure everything is flowing correctly. The next thing I cannot tell you enough, and I use this one all the time.
Hey, I lost sound on my end, so I just wanted to make sure. It doesn't look like you're... There you go. Are you hearing that, Lincoln? Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. Nope.
I'm hearing you, but not Andy.
All right. Yeah, Andy, you're not muted in the event, but maybe on your headset.
There we go. Are we
All
back?
right.
Sorry
We're
about
back.
that.
Yeah,
Where
no
did
worries.
I leave off?
Right after the thanks, Andy, happens. Headphones are great. I'm sporting some today too. You were mentioning, at least once, but definitely recommended 2 restarts weekly
Yes.
to keep them up to speed.
Absolutely. That'll just keep everything nice and flowing. The next thing is going to be check for updates. So if something isn't working correctly, maybe something looks different than what your teacher's version is looking like, definitely go in and check for updates. Now, these will automatically be pushed out by the school district, but it is always nice to maybe go in and just check. Now, the way to do that on a Windows device is to go in and hit check for updates and kind of type that into the little search area. You can just say check for updates there. That will go ahead and lead you to your updates section. That will be your best friend for going in and making sure that everything is up to date. On a different device, so something like a tablet, there's going to be a place in there also for updates that'll be in your setting portions. So I just wanted to kind of go over that, make sure that your updates are all good to go. That way everything is going to go seamlessly. But now, so after those technical kind of things there, I wanted to go over a little bit on how to clean your device. And I'm going to go over how the Microsoft Stores does that. And this is how we clean all of our devices that were on the floor, things like that, that we use for day-to-day, etc. So I want to show you what we use. Now, this is a recommendation. This is not at all something you have to go out and buy. But this is something that you can use to take care of your devices, take care of all of your devices in your house. A lot of these things that I'm going to show you are actually really great for TVs as well. So this could be something that you can just do a little investing in. You, again, do not have to. The first thing is what we use to go in and clean is called a microfiber cloth. Now these you can actually get online, you can get at Walmart, lots of different places. You can also get it at any computer store. This is what we use to go ahead and clean screens. So this is what we use in store. We also use a screen cleaning liquid. And that is basically, this is what is used to clean any screen. You can clean your TV, etc. That's going to be what we kind of use. We spray right on the microfiber cloth, and then we clean the top screen. So this is going to be a safe way to clean your screen. I will warn you, don't use any cleaning products on that. I have definitely lost some computers that way and some screens that way. So try not to use any cleaning cloth. The other way you can kind of clean as well is something that I got at the dollar store. And this is a glasses cleaning wipe. Now, you don't have to have kittens on it, of course. This can be just a plain glasses cleaning wipe. I use it to clean my glasses. I also use it to clean my screen. So that is another kind of really cost-efficient way to go in and clean your screen. I just want to recommend don't put any cleaning products on it directly, only those that are made for the screen or the glasses cleaning wipes. Another thing you can use, and again, this is just kind of a bonus, so we know that sometimes things get stuck between the keys. Something you can go in and use is a little bit of electronic dust. Again, not required at all to go in and buy, but just something to use if there are some things in there. So that's great and available to you guys. The other thing is I want to show you just some things that you can use in case there is a spill on your computer. So or if there is maybe just some water that got on the keyboard, things like that. So what I would do for that immediately is, of course, unplug the computer if it's plugged in. So make sure that's immediately, nothing's going to be kind of ruined with the plug there. You'll want to go in and take a towel and soak up that water as soon as possible, water, soda, anything like that. And then you can use on your keyboard a kind of rag with water. And that's what we kind of use to take up anything from our kind of the typing mechanism. So that's what we're going to be using for there. So as soon as possible, go ahead and go in with a rag to wipe it up, and then you can do water on a rag. So really easy things to go in and use that for, just really going in and cleaning. The last thing that I want to kind of talk about is going to be just a little bit on virus protection. So this is all going to be, I know that we worry about that kind of stuff, but the school district has it covered. There is tons of security there, and also the virus protection is built in, so no worries there, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Lincoln.
All right. Thank you so much. So Andy, so I am probably not in the minority on this, but since COVID, I've become addicted to cleaning. Clorox bleach wipes, hand sanitizer, all this stuff. More chemicals, the better is kind of my prevention strategy. And so with that, you're saying don't use those chemical device things on my device. Is that true?
Correct. That can go in and really mess with the screen. Now you can go in and use that on some of the keyboards, things like that, but the screen, you just want to use that screen cleaning.
You bet. You bet. Okay, great. And I'm gonna change the agenda a little bit there, Andy, and I'm gonna grab the screen and share what I am seeing. Should be red, so I believe it's live. Just to go through 3 things that are going to be shared widely, but I think this group that is on the conversations today would appreciate it. So you kind of double down on the tips and tricks Andy has said. Okay, so I'm sharing. And this is some very recent Microsoft development to address the needs that we're hearing across communities like Wichita and across communities across the country. And that is just, what as a parent can I do to help my kid create a safe and structured learning environment? We know that if the burden is usually 50-50 during the school day between school and home, we know that burden feels off balance right now with a lot more burden going on the parents and guardians, and we totally empathize with that, and we're doing everything we can to help you navigate those waters. So with that mindset of, helping you help yourself sort of idea, there's 3 quick things, and we'll share these in the meeting chat. But also across the parent portal for Wichita Public Schools. So school home connection, this is just going to let you first personalize your child's device. So regardless of what kind of device they're doing, students like to personalize their spaces, right? Make it their own, builds engagement, builds excitement. Me personally, I don't know why I've always had a golden mouse I just see, maybe because I'm a little bit colorblind, I can see it easier. I can make it bigger when I'm doing presentations. Mine's pretty small right now, but I had it larger earlier, and it's just it felt really clumsy. So changing that and a bunch of different things to help your students personalize their space, because we know that they're going to be spending an extra increased amount of time using their school issued devices this year, and we want them, or at least for the foreseeable future, and we want them to want to be on it, to show personality, to kind of own the device, right? We know some of the keyboards coming out, you've probably seen on social media, some of the keyboards that the educators have gotten the keyboards are personalized to Wichita Public Schools, which is super cool. And the whole idea, whether you're working with software or you're working with hardware, is make it your own, show your personality, and have fun with it, because learning is fun. Second thing that I wanted to point out on this is having a daily schedule. You all know better than I probably do of how important a daily schedule is for your student during these times. So yes, your educators are going to have somewhat of a prescribed schedule on when they're expecting their students to do what, but feel free to extend that. You know, kids thrive in structure, and within that boundary of structure, that gives them freedom to be creative, freedom to grow, freedom to feel safe while doing that. And so I definitely want you all to, you know, not just do the minimum of what the district will be asking you to do relative to, like, here's when the class is meeting, here's expectations for learning time, and all that stuff, kind of like the school stuff, but feel free to extend that. You know, our lives are becoming more and more digital, and the foreseeable future looks to be more and more of that. So helping your student understand that, you know, having a calendar, you know, not only for, you know, education, academic things, but athletic things, social things, you know, other ideas, appointments, is all great digital life skills. And I think the 10 o'clock session at Parent University today was about digital literacy with Common Sense Media. And one of those things is just making sure that your student makes sure that their life is organized. And one way to do that is through calendar, which is available for you all. The last one is kind of one that you might not expect coming from Microsoft, but making sure that you're having some sort of mindfulness throughout the day and reminding your student to step away from their devices, their phones, their screens, and making sure that they're having a few moments of calmness, of consciousness, just to have them reconnect with themselves. You know, get outside as much as they can, because we know, you know, what they're reading on the news, what they're watching on the news, what they're reading online. There's some pretty serious topics going on in the world right now, and we know that students, whether they can process it all or not, it definitely increases stress and some cortisol going on in their brains. And we want to make sure to minimize that, and mindfulness does help with that. So setting boundaries around work and home activities is just a healthy best practice. It's the best practice I know. Wichita Senior Leadership is encouraging other teachers with teacher wellness, and we want to pass that on to you all and encourage you to practice that. And this resource is just one of many out there, but I did want to acknowledge that. So tips, the second one is tips for your at-home students with disabilities. We know that, you know, 1 in 3 students have some sort of disability. Sometimes those are diagnosed with an IEP, and sometimes they're not. And we know that throughout people's lives, they're probably going to have some sort of disability throughout the way. Think of, you know, hard of hearing, think of mobility issues, think of very common ailments. You know, stroke just hit our family recently, to someone that was 100% healthy just a couple months ago. And so throughout the year, throughout the school year, we want students to understand that regardless of where they're at, we want accessibility. We want accessibility features to meet them where they're at. So I included this link from our accessibility blog, which includes a great, I think it's a 2-minute video around how to foster an inclusive learning. It was shot and kind of narrated with a classroom perspective, but there is just some really great tips and tricks in there for your home classroom that your students might be learning at. And just with the devices and all the things going on, it's awesome to watch students be able to master this new digital environment, advocate for themselves, make accommodations for themselves so they can get their accessibility addressed, so they can go on and hit their potential that they have. So there's some things in there that are really great, really positive, really exciting, and I'm just totally enthused. And the last thing that I'll include is just kind of a central hub for supporting your students' journey to hybrid learning. We know hybrid learning is a word thrown around a lot right now, and it can mean a lot of different things, even every day. I mean, I was reading the Wichita Eagle earlier today, and I think the word hybrid learning came up a couple different ways, even in one article. So whether it means, rotating kids through the school, whether it means, one day a week, whether it means, hybrid learning is going to be fully remote for a while, that kind of get them back into school as the numbers look better. For infection rates, we know that you're going to be asked to do a lot of things this year around hybrid learning, and I just want to push you to this website, which is kind of Microsoft's source of truth for all those things. So we have a whole team of dedicated professionals updating this, making sure that you're getting information you need and nothing you don't. So I just wanted to kind of get those 3 resources out your way to better equip you all to navigate the choppy waters ahead. Because we know it's not going to be easy. There's no silver bullet, but we want to be right there with you, arm in arm, helping you navigate this, because we're all here for your students, and we want to make sure that they're being supported, and adults that care about them can do a lot of things to help students have success in this upcoming school year. Andy, I'm gonna kick it back to you for, I forgot what was next on the agenda, but I'm gonna kick it back to you for that thing. And I believe you're muted if you are talking. And your headphones might not work right now.
I do want to go ahead and cover a couple of questions we had in the side over here. There's some really great questions coming in. First, is there site restrictions already set on the student computers? And the answer is yes. The district has a filter on every device. But another great idea is to have an open conversation and talk with your child about appropriate behavior. So that's another kind of just great advice there. And
yeah, and could I double in on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so reiterate, yes, your student, as they're on the internet through a Wichita issued device, there's email filtering and moderation of what is accessible for students. The second thing as well is probably that most people on this call have been on some call today that talked about Microsoft Teams and communications. That communication all falls under the same compliance standards that students are expected to follow, whether they're in school or out of school, and we are able to bake that into the program. So if something, and things happen, we wanted to not be naive to things like cyberbullying, things like inappropriate word usage, and those things that students hear, they read, and they kind of test the envelope. We want to make sure not only that we're mitigating those things from happening, but also B, that we're using those moments and those mistakes as teachable moments. And we don't want to be naive to thinking every student knows how to behave online or in person and communicate appropriately to their friends or people who don't consider their friends or in conflict or whatever. So we want to emphasize that not only are those conversations happening proactively by your educators, through some of these links, there'll be options to talk about digital literacy and digital citizenship. That's definitely a 21st century skill that we're teaching your students on top of the traditional math, reading, social studies, science.
All right. So the next question that we're getting a lot of is, are these videos recorded and will I be able to go back and watch them again? And the answer is yes. So the beauty of Microsoft Teams live events, which you are all attending right now, is that you can actually go in and click on that link at any time and you'll be able to come back into this live event and watch it again. So really awesome kind of technology piece there, but this also will be uploaded to the Wichita Public Schools YouTube channel as well. So just FYI there.
And it'll be translated into Spanish and Vietnamese into verbal translations at that point as well. When the district has those ready, they'll post those as well.
Awesome. That's amazing. All right. I think, Lincoln, I think we've covered everything that we had on our agenda. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, great. So we can jump into other questions. I think, if a parent was here starting at 8 and they're still here at 12:30, that is quite a marathon of learning and listening day. So I do want to just iterate, and I've said this at the end of each of the little times I've been able to interact today, is that I'm just truly blown away at the amount of partnership going on between the Wichita community and the school district. I know there's listening sessions. I know there's communication. I know there's people who are making decisions that also have kids in the district, which is just great to see the fabric of your community coming together during such a truly difficult time. I can tell you from late night phone calls to early morning text messages from some of the people that are answering your questions behind the curtain and leading the other sessions today, is that they have one priority in mind, and that's making sure your students are safe and supported throughout this period. And we are really advocating for everyone to utilize these tools as well as possible, but at the same time, we know that we're putting a bunch of burden on parents, and we're here to meet you where you're at. If we need more sessions like this, I know I'm willing to volunteer to help lead them, whether it's big groups like this or smaller groups. Awesome, but I know your Wichita team is fully supportive of whatever your students need to help them navigate these unprecedented times. Was there anything, I'll take it from the Q&A crowd who's been moderating better than I have with the question and answer. Anything that has came up in this Q&A or in other sessions that are that you want to address one more time before we sign off?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are wondering about devices and when they get those devices and what that means. And this is Josh here. And so the best thing to do is check with your school. So obviously we have a lot of movement going on with devices. We have a lot of cleaning and preparation going on. And so look for your school on that information. And the other thing is that enrollment is another factor in here. So we'll continue to update those, and we'll continue to update the website to communicate that as we move forward.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Josh. And I was just kind of skimming. Awesome job. I think there's like over 1,000 questions that have been answered today by this group. So their fingers are probably tired of having an ice bath after it. But one thing I saw a person named Anne mentioned about refugee ELL students is that, yes, as we're teaching, having teachers go through Teachers University, is that we are emphasizing what the senior leadership team of Wichita is also emphasizing, and that's accessibility and human touch with all of our students, especially those traditionally underserved communities. And so particularly you mentioned some of those languages, and I don't know off the top of my head how they're translated traditionally within the district or within your refugee settlement agency. But I do want to point you to a tool that should be on your phone if it's not already. It's called Microsoft Translate. And if I can spell right. So this is, it's a web app, but it's also an app they can throw into your phone. And that's going to allow your students to have like interpersonal conversations, all those things. And then the second thing that I want to emphasize that we went into it, I don't know if you're at the other sessions, but a tool called Immersive Reader, which is a technology built into all of Microsoft tools. And I'm gonna I'll do a quick live demo of it, and I'll see if the article is still there, because it was about us. It was about this. Nope. Oh, it fell off. Oh, here. Fell down from being the top article this morning to now. And the tool is called Immersive Reader. And this is for you, but anyone who's passionate about ELL students. So Immersive Reader, the icon looks like this. It's looks like an open book to me with audio in front of it. And what it does is allows you to do a bunch of different things, but specifically related to translations and additional supports for non-native English speakers. Is you can translate the whole page, every page, into whatever language you want. And these are the goals and the benchmark is the languages spoken at the United Nations. So some of those languages I don't believe are in here, but I'm guessing not, because I'm trying to match them up right now and we'll not be able to do it. So, the best we can, I think there's 140 languages within there in those communities, are in our Translate communities, and you can throw it in there and allow this for both your parent community and kid community to see. So I think that was Croatian. Yeah, Croatian translates the whole document into that language, and Microsoft research has shown those translations are on par with human translators. So is it perfect? Absolutely not. No translation is. Slang is different. English isn't perfect, but the independent research has shown that the translations are as good as a human translator. And there's additional other supports that go within it, because we know reading is learning, and if we can help students navigate how to learn to read and then read to learn, we know that this tool, Immersive Reader, again, which exists on all the Microsoft tools, Microsoft browser, it's called Edge, Word, Teams, PowerPoint, all those fun spaces, OneNote that you might live in and that we're teaching your educator community how to use. Immersive Readers woven into all of those places, including reading out loud to them and anything else. So, and if you ever want to have a conversation, I'm sure Tana, Josh, Smoke, or someone else on the Wichita team, and we would love to have a deep dive conversation into supporting EL and refugee students in particular, and making sure that your community groups, and I know you're one of probably many that surrounds the student, are also able to work within the Microsoft Teams environment, so your students can be in one place and get all the services that they deserve. So that one question got me really excited, but I'm always trying to connect with other child advocates to help out students. So let's maybe continue that conversation offline if you're willing to have it. All right. So unless there's something else that popped up, and feel free just to jump in, Josh, Tanner, Smoke, or Andy. But I'm just going to sign off with this really deep token of appreciation and admiration for educators and the parent community and the guardian community and the community support community that is surrounding the Wichita students right now. Totally showing your true colors of how much you put children in the center of your world, and we're hopefully gonna support you in the digital fashion to let you express that emotion, so your students can have as great as an education as they deserve.
Well, on behalf of Smoke, I know she's typing right now, otherwise I'd let her. We really appreciate your time, Andy and Lincoln, with showing us the tools. I do want to stress that the Immersive Reader and those accessibility tools are available inside Teams. They're inside Word documents. They're inside some other tools that your teachers might utilize, that it isn't just a web browser, that is there for our students. We appreciate your time this morning. Smoke, did you want to close out, or Josh, if you have any final words as well?
I would just say how much we appreciate all of Lincoln, and with Andy, and for our families and caregivers who are joining us here today. I know that this is a time where there's so many questions, so many what ifs and how do's that we're working on, and I'll tell you, we are working very diligently and intentionally to provide as much as we can to you, and just keep a lookout on our website when more information is coming, and to know that your building will be reaching out to you directly for next steps when it comes to device deployment. But just want to say thank you for being incredible supporters of the Wichita Public Schools. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. I'm gonna end my visual, but I'll answer some more questions as they come through in the Q&A. But everyone have a great Friday afternoon and enjoy a well-deserved weekend.